What's a wholesome animal fact you know? Orcas have incredibly complex social structures. They have different languages and regional dialects. They have names. They sing and dance. Pods that are close and speak the same language will mourn deaths and celebrate births together, even from other pods, other families. Their young are largely taught by the matriarch or matriarchs of the pod, and they are able to teach verbally rather than by showing. This means they have culture, traditions, not just instinct or patterns. One of the only animals in the world that has that. There was an orca in the PNW who lost her baby and carried its body for weeks and weeks. It was a big news story. What I thought was really amazing was that when that orca had another baby who was alive and healthy, orca pods traveled from all around to meet the new baby. It was like they knew how special it was and decided to have a celebration. When I heard the story on the radio, scientists were saying they weren't even sure how so many orcas knew to come when they did, because they came from so far off. Pretty amazing stuff. When they hear running water, beavers will automatically start to build a dam. We know this because people put a speaker playing sounds of running water next to beavers, and the first thing they did was start building a dam on the speaker. Vampire bats will share food with other vampire bats who haven't fed in the last day or two. Their metabolism means they die if they don't eat roughly every 3 days. This helps support members of the colony. Even though it puts the sharer at risk, it is considered one of the few forms of altruism observed in non-human animals. Mama cats can sense when their kittens are having nightmares, so they tightly pull them into a hug and lick their faces to aid them. I saw a video not too long ago of some research ravens given small toys to play with. When the researchers came to collect the toys, the ravens hid the toys and tried to trick the researchers into looking in fake hiding spots so they wouldn't find and take the toys away. There are reports of elephants finding humans sleeping under trees and the elephants think they are dead. People have woken up with elephants gently stroking them with their trunk, and in some cases they try to cover them with branches and sticks as a burial. Elephants are one of the few animals who mourn their dead and have rituals. Dogs will sneeze to let you know that they are only playing and don't intend to hurt you while they are playing with them violently. It's so funny when it's dogs playing together and they are just sneezing back and forth at each other like vibe check. And since learning about this, I get my older dog riled up when playing by fake sneezing at her. She loves it. In a recent study, researchers put one rat in an uncomfortably small, confined space that can be opened by another rat on the outside. The outside rat would figure out how to release the trapped rat when they made sounds of distress. Even when the researchers distracted the outside rat with treats, it would save a treat for the trapped rat when it let it out. Basically proving that rats have empathy, which I already knew. I love rats. They make amazing pets, clean and smart. It's just a damn shame that they only live about 3 to 4 years on average. Plenty of time to break your heart, but definitely not long enough. Wild wolf packs and murders of crows form bonds over time. The crows help lead the wolves to live prey, and in return crows get the scraps after the wolf pack has eaten their fill. Crows have been seen playing with wolf pups and bringing them sticks and feathers as gifts. These same crows and wolf pups reunite as adults and do the deal time and time again. Sometimes the birds and carnivores just hang out together, supposedly just to enjoy each other's time, like Hood Nature. Casual Geographic once said, "There's a Disney movie in here, I just know it." English Mastiffs sailed on the Mayflower. Most people wouldn't consider dogs that can weigh nearly 200 pounds an essential, but most people weren't. John Goodman, the 25-year-old pilgrim, brought his English Mastiffs on the Mayflower with him, and they sailed to the New World. Though the master didn't last long, the community adopted his dogs and cared for them. There's an aquarium in Japan that has eels who are antisocial, but because of the constant exposure to people, they've learned to be comfortable with humans. But due to the pandemic, eels went back to being isolated creatures until the aquarium decided to FaceTime the eels. Yes, FaceTiming eels. They eventually went back to be comfortable to humans. Humans aren't the only species to be found to keep other animals as pets/livestock in a way that resembles us much more than you might think. Some spiders have pet frogs. Some types of ants will raise aphids like livestock. In captivity the list expands, like how many cheetahs in captivity have emotional support service dogs to help them with anxiety and other issues, especially in breeding programs, where a happy cheetah is much more likely to be able to carry to term. Even species that don't exhibit the behavior yet show that they could, if presented with the right option of pets. See elephants getting excited about cute things and being very gentle with anything they know is smaller/weaker than them. My father-in-law worked for a commercial plumbing company. They got a job putting in all the water-related stuff for the primate enclosures at the local zoo. While working near orangutans, they had to not leave their tools unattended and take inventory. When they left, the orangutans would try to use the tools to take their enclosure apart. Bonus wholesome. Years later, my son got a book on animals at the book fair. Reading it together, when we got to the part about orangutans, it said, "Orangutans are so smart. Plumbers working on their enclosures at the hometown zoo had to be careful not to get their tools taken when working on their enclosure." I said, "Holy crap, they are talking about your grandpa." This story isn't wholesome, but it is interesting. The local zoo where I grew up had 2 orangutans, male and female. The male died, and they didn't tell the female. After a bit she started refusing to come into her nighttime enclosure and would climb to the highest point in her daytime enclosure, so they couldn't force her. They discovered the reason why when she escaped her enclosure after building a ladder to get out and look for the male. She never left the zoo and was quickly recovered, after which they showed her his body so she could understand. She didn't try to escape her enclosure after she found out what happened to him. It's a sad story, but the intelligence she displayed was amazing. Bearded dragons wave to communicate greeting, and that they aren't a threat. When you wave to a bearded dragon and it waves back at you, you're literally speaking the same language with the same intent. Elephants can detect water underground. They will use their tusks, feet and trunks to dig it out. Other animals are aware and will sit near by waiting for their turn at the water spot. Moths experience love at first whiff. The female moths release species-specific pheromones that act as a signal. When a male moth catches a whiff of a female moth, he'll travel miles to find her based off her scent alone. Dogs love us just as much as we love them. Scientists studied their brain waves, and they showed a significant difference between being shown the image of a stranger and the image of their owner. Furthermore, the pleasure center of their brain shows more activity with humans than it does with other dogs. Domestic kittens need to remain with their mother for 4 months because they need education. They'll live more than 20 years, but only if you give them proper, expensive food and you don't let them roam the streets. Can confirm. One of our cats was rescued by the Humane Society at 6 weeks old. We don't know the backstory of how he was separated from his mom. We adopted him at 8 weeks old. He just doesn't know how to cat correctly. Lol. The only parts of his body that he grooms are his front paws and ears. He also doesn't jump well, just chickens out. We had hoped our older female cat would teach him a thing or two, but she wasn't interested. He's 7 now and doing just fine, but he's a bit weird. On the 8th of April, 1942, a detachment of Polish soldiers, deployed to Iran by the Allies, bought a bear cub from an Iranian boy. In August the bear was given to the 22nd Artillery Supply Company and named Wojtek by the soldiers. They fed him condensed milk, honey, fruit, and beer, which ended up being his favorite drink. He also picked up smoking and enjoyed wrestling with his human friends and bunking in on cold nights. When the Polish 2nd Corps was redeployed at Italy to fight alongside the British, the Brits wouldn't transport mere muskets on a troop ship, so Wojtek was formally enrolled in the Polish army as a private. During the brutal Battle of Mont Cassino, Private Wojtek helped keep the guns firing by hauling boxes of ammo, each containing 4 25-pound shells. These crates normally took 4 men to haul. For his bravery and service in battle, Wojtek was promoted to corporal, and his visage became the emblem of the 22nd Artillery Supply Company. After the war, the 22nd was sent to Scotland before being demobilized, at which point Wojtek was given to the Edinburgh Zoo, where he was often visited by Polish soldiers until his death in 1963. That is the story of Corporal Wojtek, the Polish artillery bear. Quoted directly from /u/crimp_chimp.